Good morning. How many of you have been out for a walk already this morning? I have, and it is beautiful. If you haven't been, you should go. The temperature is lovely. There's a nice breeze. There's no humidity. It's great. I mentioned last time that I was going to talk about didgeridoos and singing bowls, but I may have gotten ahead of myself. I've done a bit of reflecting to prepare for this episode, so I'll start with a little background again. Perhaps this should have been the first episode as I look back at the journey this far, but alas, it is not. Part of my summer is always spent on personal growth, or I should maybe more accurately say personal musical growth. I practice piano a little more, but mostly I do a lot of reading for pleasure and for my craft. Sometimes I'll buy a new book after becoming inspired at our January music conference, and that becomes the summer plan. I did this past January, and because of COVID-19, I started a little early. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, since this all began, I just want to get back to normal. A lot of people on social media have written, I just want to be able to do the things I always do. Funny thing, or not, I don't. What I was doing before was okay, but it wasn't great. Yes, maybe I'd like to get back to doing a few things, fishing, things like that, but I'd like to do them better. I'd venture to say that the world would probably be better off if instead of getting back to normal, we worked collectively to make a better normal. We'd be maybe a better world if we worked at doing the things we do okay better and improved upon the things we don't do so well. I said from the beginning this series wasn't going to be about politics or world events, and it's not. Because, I'll say it again, to make the world a better place, we have to first make ourselves better human beings. The book this summer is The Musician's Walk, An Ethical Labyrinth. It is by James Jordan. Mr. Jordan is an associate professor at Westminster Choir College. He is a writer on the subject of the philosophy of music making and choral teaching. And believe me, he has me thinking about ethics, music making, and most of all, becoming a better human being. The book is designed for music educators, but really, it's about living in harmony with the world, with nature, with God, and with ourselves. How does one live in harmony with nature? Interesting question, isn't it? Part of the book's title is An Ethical Labyrinth. What is a labyrinth? The definition, according to Google, a complicated, irregular network of passages or paths in which it is difficult to find one's way. If we think about that in relation to our own lives, most of us would agree. Sometimes our passages and paths are very irregular and it is difficult to find our way. According to lessonsforliving.com, a labyrinth is an ancient symbol that relates to wholeness. It combines the imagery of the circle and the spiral into a meandering but purposeful path. The labyrinth represents a journey to our own center and back out into the world. So, how do we make that journey to our inner universe purposeful? With clear paths that enable us to find our way. How do we make our labyrinth the journey to who we are so we can go back out into the world one of wholeness and unity? I don't have the answer yet. That's why I'm on a journey. It's still there. I'm still on the journey to my center. But I can tell you that at the core of that center is my faith. Once I finish this book, there are several others I'd like to read that Mr. Jordan references. One is by Lauren Artress entitled Walking a Sacred Path, Rediscovering the Labyrinth as a Spiritual Tool. If anyone has already read it, please share your thoughts. Another quote in the book I love is by the artist Robert Henry from The Art Spirit. It seems to be that before a man tries to express anything to the world, he must recognize in himself an individual, a new one, very distinct from others. That is the essence of what I'm trying to do. I sure hope I'm on the right path and would absolutely welcome anyone who would like to join me. All of this reflection and diving into the paths and passages in my own personal labyrinth is part of my journey to a lifestyle change. I mentioned in the introduction episode that I wanted to approach my students with more love and compassion. That is only half true. I really want to approach the world and my life with more love and compassion in my whole self. I want my interactions with my students, colleagues, friends, and family to be more about listening and remembering what Mother Teresa said. We cannot do great things, but we can do small things with great love. The book has introduced me to Dr. David R. Hawkins. I can't wait to explore his writings and teachings. Along with his spiritual work, he has dived into the levels of consciousness and the work of power versus force in our daily lives. This is something that he stated. We change the world not by what we say or do, but as a consequence of what we have become. Again, I say we have the power to change the world once we look into ourselves. I want to dive into the concept of positive versus negative energy forces. I want to continue to walk to my core so that I embody awareness, compassion, and love for others as I journey back out into the world again. Some of the words that I would like to put into my vocabulary as part of my being are abundant versus excessive, or agreeable versus condescending, brilliant versus clever. See, these words that I'm saying first are levels of subconsciousness above the levels that the words that I'm saying second are in the force category. So, charitable instead of prodigal, devoted instead of possessive, energetic instead of agitated, fair instead of scrupulous, humble instead of diffident, inspired instead of mundane, observant instead of suspicious, receiving instead of grasping, respectful instead of demeaning, valuing instead of exploitive. These are just some of the words on the list that are in the book, and I can't, like I said before, wait to dive into Dr. Hawkins' videos and some of his readings and things like that. If you are intrigued and want to take this journey with me, or you want to discuss any of these things, send me a note. If you wanted to have the opportunity to read some of these things that I'm referencing, then send me a note and I'll send you the people that I'm intrigued with and that I want to read as well. I am blessed this morning with a great walk, a great attitude, a great family, and may God bless you as well. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, God bless.